Together we rise, together we fly.
Now, today's episode, it's not the fairy tale that they told us about, but it might be the one your soul's been craving for. You know, we grow up with this picture of how life should look. It should look glamorous, easy, and we have it all figured out. But what if your version of happily ever after looks a little quieter, maybe more grounded, or even more of you? So, in this video, I want to share the story of a woman whose strength, it didn't come from being loud. It came from being anchored. So let's talk about it. Hello, my beautiful, amazing sisters. It is time to let the beauty of what you love be what you do. So let's talk about something that often hides behind the hustle and the grind, and it's the longing for a fairy tale life. Now, not the one with the glass slippers and the magic wands, but the one where we wake up and we finally feel at peace. We finally feel at peace in our own skin. Now, could it be that version of the fairy tale? It's not missing, it's just different than what the world told us that it had to look like. And there's an amazing woman in the Bible that most people, they don't even talk about her. So let's talk about it. We don't even know her name, but she's simply called the Shunammite woman. But her story, and it's bold and it's sacred and it's so much more like ours. Now, she wasn't chasing applause, but she was making room. She was making room for rest, for God's presence, and for her purpose. Now, let's take a moment and look at this Shunammite woman's story. Her story is found in 2 Kings 4. Now, she was a woman of great wisdom, faith, and even hospitality. And she lived in Shunem, and she offered the prophet Elijah a place to stay whenever he passed through town. Now, recognizing him as a man of God, she even built a small room for him on her roof. Now, because of her kindness, Elijah asked, what could be done for her? Now, though she had no children and her husband, he was old, and she hadn't asked for anything, but still, Elijah prophesied that she would have a son, and she did. But years later, the child suddenly died in her arms. Now, refusing to give up or to give in to grief, she declared, it is well, and went straight to Elijah. Her unwavering faith, it led to a miracle. Elijah prayed, and her son was brought back to life. Now, the interesting thing about her story, she didn't even ask for a miracle, but she received one anyway. And when the promise that God gave her, the son that she didn't even ask for, when he suddenly died, she didn't fall apart, but she got up and she went straight to the source. And then she whispered something that still echoes today. It is well. Believe it or not, sometimes that fairy tale life doesn't come without fire, but it comes through faith. Now, she didn't let pain stop her, but she let it push her. And that's what living aligned looks like. Now, I want to take a moment just to share a few truths that speak to where you might be even right now. Now, they may seem simple, but they're strong, just like the Shunammite woman. Now, when it comes to discernment, it has the potential to make space before a miracle is even needed. Now, she didn't wait for a crisis to invite God in, she made room for him. Number two, promises often come when we stop trying to even force them. Now, she wasn't striving, but she was serving. Number three, the promise is tested, but faith, It doesn't panic, it pursues. Now, she didn't bring the problem to the people, she brought it to the promise keeper. Number four, words, they have power, especially in the middle of the storm. And she said, "It is well," not because it felt okay, but because she trusted the outcome. Now begin to imagine, what would it look like? What would it look like for you to apply just one of these truths this week? Could it be that the miracle you've been waiting for is waiting on your movement? Now take a breath with me and let that settle in. I'm here to tell you, you are not forgotten and you are not disqualified. And that fairy tale life, it's not a fantasy, but it is a faith walk. And I believe that you are already walking into your bold, fulfilled, and free season. Now, my invitation to you, drop "it is well" in the comments if you're living your version of the fairy tale life. And if this touched you, share it with someone else who needs to be reminded that the fairy tale isn't always perfect, but it's still yours.